You wanted to talk about dragons.
I mean, it kept ringing in my ear when you were telling me about your sound bath experience. And I was like,
Left ear or
yeah,
right ear? Left ear? Isn't that when the universe, when spirit is guiding you? Is when your left ear rings, or is it the right ear?
I don't know. I get both of them. I'm not sure which is which, but I always ask the same questions, like, someone trying to communicate with me? What's going on? Um, yeah, I just kept because I've had like these dragon this dragon energy that's been visiting me. So when you said that, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I started doing some research on like just women in the Bible or women taken out of the Bible and stuff like that, and how they demonized all the women because we know how powerful we are, right? And we know, well, they know or they knew that that power was dangerous to them, right? So they villainized all these women. They made Mary Magdalene a prostitute, right? They made women. Did you know that? Well, I don't know how true it is, but there's myth or story of Adam having a first wife. Have you ever heard of that?
No, but at the minute you started talking about dragons and this, I'm sweating, I'm crying, I'm
Mm.
covered in goosebumps and sweating at the same time. So, and this is something new, like my energy field is just reacting on its own to this energy that you're talking about. So keep going. No, I didn't know Adam had a first wife.
So I started bumping into all these stories of Lilith, who is supposed to be Adam's first wife. And Adam's first wife, Lilith, would not conform to Adam, basically like telling her what to do. She wouldn't bow down to him. And they depict her as a demon, as this dragon, as this serpent, as this, this is how they depict her. And then they made Eve, and she was more subservient and, that type of energy. But so it has me thinking, if you were the mother creator energy, right? And then you created women to be powerful and to create and to do all these things. And then there was this plan to basically take the characters out completely and demonize like our mother figure, because we only have a father figure in religion, right? Like they took our mother figure out. As women, we're supposed to learn from like a mother figure, right? They completely took her out. And then if there's any mention of it, it's demonized. So when I started looking into this character, like I'm looking on social media and stuff, the women who are embodying this energy, they look dark, right? They look like almost like you would say like a gothic type of thing, which has always also been demonized. It's like, you know, dark energy, chaos, which everything is necessary, right? But wouldn't you be pissed?
Yes.
And wouldn't you want to clear your name and like, wouldn't you be ready to cause some ruckus and like imagine the betrayal, and everyone just turned their back on you, and there's no mention of you, no one talks to you, and you're the creator goddess energy. Wouldn't justice, right?
When you want to set it straight.
Wouldn't you want to set that straight?
And look at, and it makes, I mean, again, I'm getting goosebumps all over. And look at how, oh my goodness. Look at all of the crimes against women.
Oh my gosh.
It's just, I mean, we talk about wars, right? And genocide and the crimes against women. I know I can't even, I can't even continue. It's so incredibly painful.
Did you
Especially women, indigenous women and women of color. It's just, whoa.
Did you hear about the doctor in India? I think it was India. Don't even look into it. It's terrible. And this is still going on. It's still going on.
And so much of it is going on in secret. We never hear about it. We never hear about it.
And then they villainize the victim, right? And she's often scared to speak out because it's, what did you do? What were you wearing? Why were you out so late? Why did you, all of that victim shaming. So I feel like it's playing out as above, so below. It's playing out on so many levels. This energy of, we're just fed up, right? We're fed up.
It has to rise to the surface like it has been, undeniable, like the Epstein and all the celebrities that were using his services and all the politicians and people that are supposed to be honorable being exposed as demonic instead. This has to rise to the surface so that people can see it. And there isn't any doubt. I'll never forget going to the premiere on July 4th last year of the movie that was made on child sex slavery. What was it called again? I forget what it was called. But I got my ticket and I bought a whole bunch of tickets for other people, and I sat there on July 4th and just could not believe that there are over 2 million children that are being sold as sex slaves, and the number one consumer is the United States of America.
I was out for after I watched that, and I watched it recently. Was it Sound of Freedom?
Sound of Freedom.
I was just like fetal position on the couch after watching that for.
Yeah. Yep. And people, and this is what I mean about the two parallels. People go like this.
Right. That's easier.
It's not, I'm not part of the problem, so I don't need to be part of the solution. Well, if you're going like this, you're part of the problem. That's how it got this way. That's how it got this way. Like people saying, well, that doesn't affect me. What do you mean? That energy, that dark energy, that pain, that fear, that suffering, that energy is real. It affects the collective. Whether you're directly involved or not. I felt it. You felt it. I wasn't right for weeks. And I was a victim of sexual abuse as a child.
Same, yeah.
but not like that. And I know what I went through as a result of my experience. I can't imagine what those children as young adults and adults go through.
So it just like everything is completely upside down.
Yeah.
The way that I look at things is everything I've been taught, I look at the opposite and start exploring that first now, because that's what's turned out so many times. Every story, every narrative we're given, it's probably the opposite where the truth lies, if you're really looking for the truth.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
It's because, I mean, forever, I've been like hiding who I am. You can't talk about certain things, right? Like all these people who have had like experiences with like even like what you would consider extraterrestrial and stuff. Like now people are starting to talk about these things, but for years you were crazy if you talked about stuff like that, right? And the same thing with like before the Sound of Freedom and people really started talking about stuff like this, if you said this was going on, people would look at you like you were crazy. I remember having a conversation and everyone made me seem like this was something that I made up in my mind and it wasn't, couldn't possibly be going on. And I understand that's easier to believe. It's easier to believe the lies. It's easier to believe, you know, we're going to be saved by, um, I don't even know what the, what the narrative is. The sky is going to crack open and we'll be plucked out of the sky, or like, because we have to save ourselves. So if we're told that we're going to be saved, we're just going to sit here and wait. We're not going to take any action.
Right. Right. And even just the action doesn't have to be go join the volunteer group at, the Sound of Freedom. The action could be simply praying, allowing it to enter your awareness in truth, right? Embracing the truth. And your participation could be to send out good energy for the ending of that dynamic or that dark energy. It's that whole, you heard about the cell experiment, right? So remember that old website I had? It's not old, it's still out there, but when I was all excited about synchronicity and I write it all down and put it on a website, yeah, it's so2andyu.com. So one of the things out there is called the cell experiment, and it's a real thing. So if you put 100 cells in a closed container, right, and 75% of those cells are sick, and 25% of those cells are well, left undisturbed over a period of time, the 75 that are sick will start behaving like the 25 that are well, not the other way around. So it only takes 25% of the world population to be thinking, feeling, believing, praying in a certain way for the collective to change. That's it. So people can do their part by allowing themselves to become aware and praying and sending out good energy for that to be removed.
And just opening your eyes, right? So instead of saying this doesn't exist, like this is happening for some reason. I don't have to know the reason. I don't have to understand, but I can just open my eyes and watch the children a little closer and, make sure that I have this awareness. So if anything is happening that doesn't sit right with me, I can protect maybe a child, or I can, you know, just keep a more watchful eye when I'm out in the world,
Yeah.
see something, because we tell ourselves, oh, this stuff isn't happening. And then you see a child that looks uncomfortable, right? And then you assume, oh, the parent must be disciplining them or something. Like, I have this keen awareness when I go out, I'm watching everything. I like watch and I feel, and if something stands out, like I'm paying attention because I have the awareness, right? And that could mean life or death for somebody. Just paying attention. If you see something and your intuition is like, oh, taking a license plate, you don't have to run and call the police for everything, but just having an awareness could mean life or death. Just paying attention, just bringing this into your awareness that this is possible, this is happening. Children are being abducted. Like, we've always known. You see, we had the milk cartons back in our day, right? We've always known that this is happening. So why is it this complete shutdown of the reality of the situation? And I've talked about what I believe coming from like a spiritual lens, right? There's attachments, there's energies, there's entities that can take over and make a person who wouldn't normally do things. Plain and simple, that they're not acting from themselves, right? Something else has taken over and has attached to them and is making them do these terrible things. So yes, we can sit there and say, he wouldn't do that, or she wouldn't do that. But there is something out there that would.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about cord breaking. What is cord breaking about? Cord breaking is about removing emotional and physical attachments, energetic attachments to you from other people, places, or things. I've done cord breaking. I've had an experience with somebody who I knew probably, and actually talked to Chantel about it. I knew they had an entity attached to them. And I wanted her to help remove it. As a matter of fact, we were sitting in a class, I forget which class it was. And I brought up his name and she was like, oh, she knew, she felt it. She didn't want to have anything to do with it. And I couldn't understand why she didn't want to have anything to do with it. I understand today. But when I was learning Reiki, I didn't understand. Now I understand, because the funny thing is, the last time I saw this person, if I were to look at him straight on, I couldn't see the entity. But when I moved, because I've learned this, and I looked at him through my peripheral vision, I was like, oh my God. Excuse me for saying that. I never say that. I could see his face was completely different. And I was like, whoa. And I had to do the work to get to that place where I could receive that information. It's always been there, but I wasn't in a position to receive it. And then I took the blinders off. I became open-minded. I had some energetic experiences, seeing my own energy during meditation, things like that. Now I can see it. Now I can see it. And it is a real thing. Oh my gosh. Oh.
And the crazy thing is, the way that I see it is kind of like the movies. Like, they put the stuff in the movies. If you pay attention, I don't know exactly what movie, but there was a movie where like the entities are like, and that's how I see them. Like, they look like static energy, like, and yeah, like I've done that. Like I've been in a room and I see somebody like having an experience, and I'm like, why doesn't anyone else see this? Like, am I the only one that can see this? And everybody just has their blinders on. It's too much. If we could use all of our senses and see everything that's going on, like people would just have complete psychotic breaks.
Unless they understood how powerful they were, that
Exactly.
they are more powerful than anything else vibrating in the room. Because what you're seeing is the vibration of that energy field, right? That's what you're seeing. I've seen the same thing. I've only seen it once or twice, but it is, you are the most powerful being in the room. And when you know that, because and we've talked about this, their power comes from your fear.
Yeah.
Their power comes from your fear. So if there's no fear, they leave. There's 8 billion people on the planet. They move on to the next person, right? So because I used to, when I meditated, I used to see these dark shadows flying through the room. And I intuitively felt not good. Not that the darkness was bad, because darkness isn't necessarily bad. Without darkness, you don't know what the light is. So darkness can be your friend. But these people, this energy that was showing up was like, ooh, new food. It was that kind of thing. And I stopped being afraid of that. And I also started saying before I meditated, anyone that is here for my highest good is welcome. All others must leave. You are not welcome here. Every time. I never not start a meditation with that. I don't go into my own energy field. I don't bring that, my theta, my brain waves down and expose that opening for anything that doesn't belong there. Right. And even some really good energies I've watched leave because they're no longer here for my highest good. You know what I mean? They're getting something out of the connection, right? And that's not what I'm looking for. But I forgot where I was going with that. But you're right. I mean, if you know that you are 100% safe and protected, then that stuff can't get in. It can't penetrate because it's all about your consent. Nothing will happen here without your consent.
Mhm.
So if you believe, oh, this is bad and it's going to get me, this is bad and it's going to get you. It's
Right.
the law of attraction. If you're like, you know what, dude, move on. You're not welcome. It's that simple. Like, remember when we were little and they said, I forget what it was, that you can expel an entity in Jesus's name. I expel this, right? It's the same thing, whatever your religion is, but
And you don't have to necessarily use a religion. You can just I do it in my name.
right?
Be gone. And it has.
Yeah. And the funny thing is when I meditate, because I see energy, right? So a lot of times I meditate with my eyes open because it's just fun. I get distracted when I really don't want to be distracted. I close my eyes. But like I'll put my arm up into the energy field and the whole form disappears. It's gone. I'm not in. It's just beautiful. I have so much fun, but it's so distracting. So when I first open my meditation, I say I affirm my spirit, and I see a lot of movement. And I say I affirm your spirits, and the room is full, right? And then I say all that are here for my highest good are welcome. All others must leave, and the audience goes way down. And it's just what happens. I don't attach any meaning to it anymore. It's just, you invite people to the party, everyone's going to come. And then you say, well, only really a select few are invited. And the room empties.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
don't see any of it as bad or good. I don't attach those. It just is. It's just what's here.
Right.
Because everything is up there.
Everything.
Everything.
So those things that we might deem scary or dark or whatever, they're teaching us to come into our power, right? They're teaching us
Yes.
reminding us how powerful we are.
Oh,
So many times we get stuck in these emotions, fear, anger, sadness, regret, guilt. We're stuck there. And that's where they meet us. And then they start controlling us. And then we can't get out of those emotions.
yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned that. So it's the whole frequency and vibration thing. If you're vibrating down here in fear and angst and sadness and anxiety and depression, the things that are gonna attach to them is fear, anxiety, angst, depression, right? When you're vibrating here in peace and joy, and you can look at circumstances as just what they are, circumstances, without attaching any kind of personal meaning to them. You look at them as, be curious about them, what I'm going to learn here. This can't get to that level because it's down here. It can't attach. It's like a magnet, right? It's too far away. You can't attach, can't reach it. But what can reach it is peace and joy. Right? So yeah.
That's why I usually start all my energy work with Reiki, right? I go in with the Reiki and that automatically raises the vibration. So if you do have any things that are hanging out, the attachment is not as strong because I've already raised the frequency higher than those emotions. So then if there is something, I have a better opportunity to clear it out. Depending on what it is, there's different techniques, but there's a better opportunity. The attachment is not as secure if I go in with the Reiki first and raise the vibration, and your baseline vibration is a little higher than if I just go in and, you're,
Go ahead.
no,
No,
if I go in and you're like sad, angry, and usually when you come for spiritual energy work, it's because you have an issue, right? So you are going to be in those lower frequencies trying to get out of it. So
I was going to say, you've done that for me.
Mhm.
You've gone in and raised my vibration and actually cleared out negative attachments that were in there, negative energetic attachments. And so it's not, and the reason why I got excited is because it's important to mention it, that just because you're energetically aware, spiritually aware, vibrating at a higher frequency, doesn't mean these things don't happen.
Right.
They still happen.
Yes.
And that's why the energy work is so important.